Welcome to the Academy of General Dentistry podcast series featuring Dr. George Schmidt. Each episode features experts in the field of dentistry who share insights and inspiration to help you succeed. Let's get started.
Hey, welcome back, everyone. We're recording live from AGD2026 here in Las Vegas, Nevada, at another amazing AGD scientific session. And my guest today is none other than the Executive Director for the Academy of General Dentistry, Dan Buksa. Dan, how are you today?
I'm doing real well, Dr. Schmidt. How about yourself?
I'm doing fantastic. And it's so great to have you on the program.
Thank you.
We've done many of these podcasts, and I've always wanted to have you on to talk a little bit about AGD. And we're really excited about that.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So first of all, thank you for all your years of service. How many years has it been?
It will be 29 years and 3 weeks.
29 years with the AGD at various positions.
Yes. So I started in 1997, a couple weeks before the scientific session that was in Chicago. And I hired in as advocacy manager, and then I was promoted to director and then associate executive director. And along the way, I did the interim executive director for 4 times. And then finally, they just asked me to take it, and I did.
So as our listeners can see, that Dan is a true blue AGD, and he's done so many great things for us over the years. And I don't think there's anybody that we appreciate more, Dan, than you.
Thank you very much. It's been my honor.
Yes, thank you very much. And so let me ask you, over those years, you've seen a lot of leadership come and go. You've seen dentistry has obviously changed so much over the years. What are some of the biggest challenges you've seen that this organization has faced?
Yeah, it's common to many associations and professional societies is the need to remain relevant to members. Do we have the cutting edge classes that members are interested that they need to have in order to maintain their licensure and to be the best possible dentists to their patients? And so the race for relevancy is by far the key thing and challenge that we face pretty much on a daily basis, because the pace of change is increasing throughout society, and of course AGD is part of that. And now with the advent of things like artificial intelligence, it's just increasing even much more so at a much faster pace.
Yeah, there's no question about that. So many things, and those are similar issues that many organizations face nowadays, and it's a great challenge. And of course, as I said, Dan does such a great job, and the rest of the team, you got a fantastic team behind you, Matt Kremke and others, and of course Cam did do such a great job with us. Let's talk a little bit about the structure of the AGD. For some of our members that don't know how we function, Dan, talk to us a little bit about the hierarchy, if you would.
Sure. Well, AGD prides itself, as it should, as a member-driven organization, and that really starts at the grassroots level. And so AGD has 62 constituents, including all the United States, some territories, the Uniform Armed Services, and the Canadian provinces. And each of those bodies elect delegates to a House of Delegates. And this House of Delegates is the supreme governing body of AGD, and they're responsible for amending the bylaws and adopting organization-wide policies. In addition to that, the constituents, the 62 of them, are grouped into 19 separate regions. And each region then elects a trustee and a regional director. The trustee is the member who sits on the board, and the board is the body that has the day-to-day oversight of the organization. The House of Delegates also elects 7 additional individuals who serve as the executive committee. They are the officers of the organization, and they are the leaders of the board. They're part of the board, but elected by the House, not the regions. And I mentioned the regional directors. They're a very key point of AGD leadership, and they are kind of the liaison between the board and the House and the grassroots constituents. And so the board then hires me, an executive director, and I manage the professional staff of the association.
Yeah, so as you can see, that's a very complicated structure that we have. And in addition to that, we have a number of councils and committees that work very closely with the board and Dan's staff. that create a lot of the policies and a lot of the things that you see and many people actually take for granted. A lot of work goes into that, creating white papers and positions and things of that nature. So tell me a little bit, Dan, about how your staff, and you have a great staff, how they interact with the councils and committees to make that function in a great way.
Absolutely. And so I would like to give a shout out to the professional team. We have a very great staff. We have some attorneys on staff. We have some PhDs, a lot of masters, and a number of the team, probably about a dozen or so, have been with the AGD for 20 years or longer. Um, Dr. Schmidt mentioned the councils and committees. There's 10 permanent councils that are enshrined in the bylaws. And these are the main working groups that get AGD's work done. They range from advocacy, legislative and government affairs, and dental practice to communications, dental education and exams, group benefits, and the Scientific Meetings Council, along with a couple others. In addition to those groups, there's about 15 additional committees that are semi-permanent, and they range things like special areas like new dentists and other areas that have a specialized function within AGD. And on top of all that, there occasionally are task force and other work groups that may meet for just a short time, like a year, in order to get one specific task done. So there are well over 150 volunteers who are populating on these councils and committees. They come from all over the country, all the different constituents, and they volunteer their time. They dedicate their time to making AGD a much better place and a welcoming place for all of our dentist members.
Yeah, so as you can see, there's a significant amount of time, effort, dedication in the organization to bring you, the member, the very best opportunity for an experience that you can have. And, so there's so many things we can talk about here, but one of the things I just want to talk briefly with Dan about is advocacy, because I know that's near and dear to your heart. And we put a lot of effort into advocacy. So maybe you can talk a little bit about that, because I know you're very much have always been involved with that and how that works and maybe some of the issues that we're facing now.
Yes, I'm definitely an advocate at heart, and that's where I cut my chops at AGD. AGD's advocacy efforts have expanded tremendously over my 29 years at AGD. When I hired in, the advocacy department consisted of myself and a part-time employee, and we did the most we could. But then in the early 2000s, a new strategic plan was developed, and advocacy was identified as a new pillar, along with continuing education, always um, to be important for AGD. And so we began expanding our advocacy efforts. We hired additional staff people, and we also employ some consultants. So we have a prominent lobbying firm in Washington D.C. on retainer. They're called Alston and Bird, and they monitor uh, our our interests and our actions in Washington D.C. in both the House and Senate, as well as some of the executive branch. And then we, out of the Chicago headquarters office, we monitor all 50 U.S. states and all the legislation that's taking place there. And so we work with the constituent leaders to affect positive uh, results and examples for our members in their various states. On top of all that, we also have a dental practice area, and that area, as Dr. Schmidt noted, they draft white papers on various aspects of your practice, ranging from sedation to workforce and other assorted items. And these are form the policies for AGD so that when we go to Congress or we go to the media, we're able to cite a white paper or a policy that backs up with research the point we're trying to make. And then finally, the third leg, I like to consider advocacy at AGD a three-legged stool. So the first one is government relations, dental practice is a second, and the third leg of advocacy is professional relations. And that's how AGD, as an organization of general dentists, relates to organized dentistry primarily, whether it be the American Dental Association, which is the umbrella organization for organized dentistry, all the various specialty groups and the various niche groups that make up. And so there's probably at least 50 different organizations. And so AGD's officers, such as Dr. Schmidt, will meet with leaders from the ADA, from all these other organizations periodically over the course of a year.
Yeah, and Dan mentioned that there's a lot of advocacy efforts, and one of the things we do every year is we go to Washington. We call that AGD Hill Day, and so once a year we bring Dan and our team of experts and a select group of some of the volunteers to really take issues that are really relevant to dentists and particularly new dentists. And we try to go to Congress and make our case. And this year I think we've had a couple. We had three big ones. Those
Yes.
were
Yeah, so the three bills we lobbied on this year were the Action for Dental Health, which deals with workforce issues. And then there's the READY Act, which deals with deferring interest on student loans while a dentist is going through a residency program or a graduate program. And then the final one was the IDA Act, which hopes to reform the ERISA laws, which many of the third party payers hide behind and cause a great deal of consternation to you, the members, when you're trying to get reimbursed for the work you do on your patients.
Yeah, so as you can see, Dan and his team and the volunteers here, we're working very hard for you. And the one thing I want to mention here, we talked a lot about councils and committees, and we're always looking for new members, new folks to put on our councils and committees. So if you have a special talent or you want to become involved, please go to agd.org and submit. There's some forms you can fill out there, and you can submit those. And this is the time of the year actually where we make those appointments and we look through all that. So be sure to look that up if that's something you want to be interested in.
I would also add that if you're not perhaps ready to come to the national level, your constituent needs help in many of these areas as well. And so, or if you don't get selected at the national level, a good way to start and get the experience is at the constituent level, because most constituents have programs and positions that mirror what happens at the AGD.
Absolutely. That's a great point that Dan makes. And as you can see, there's so many different things that we do here. We need some really great volunteers. So we hope to see you applying for that. And I look forward to your application. Dan, we're almost out of time here, but we're, of course, at AGD 2026 in Las Vegas. And next year, as many of you may know, is a very special year for the AGD. It's our 75th birthday. So tell us where we're going to be next year, Dan.
We are going to be in Chicago for AGD's 75th anniversary. We're very excited. We're going to be at the Hyatt Regency. We're going to have some tremendous programming. We're going to have great hands-on courses, hard to get courses, and some very stimulating lectures as well. We're going to have an outstanding exhibit hall. We have a number of sponsors and corporate supporters that just stand by AGD through thick and thin and support this kind of meeting. So we're all very excited about that. We're going to have some good entertainment as well. And Chicago in the summer is a just lovely, wonderful place to be. We're going to be right on the lakefront. You'd be just a few blocks from the lakefront. You'd be able to walk on the lakefront. All of Chicago's dining and entertainment will be right at your hands.
Absolutely. And by the way, it takes about 18 months to plan a meeting like that. And planning is well underway. And as Dan said, we've got some great stuff ahead of you and some really great surprises. So we hope to see you there. Dan, we're out of time. Thank you so much for being a guest on the podcast.
You are
really
most
appreciate
welcome.
you. And if I just want to say for all the members, thank you for everything that you do.
You're most welcome.
Absolutely. And I'd also like to thank our producer, Kristen Gover. If you like what you heard, please like and subscribe to our channel. You can always find us on Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, and of course the AGD app. And if you have any concerns, questions, or comments, you can email us at news@agd.org. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.